Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Noosphere podcast. My name is Nathan, aka the Mesa, and I'm joined today by James, aka the Mad Magos.
Hello, hello, hello.
And it is just you and I. We are
It is
back.
me.
We are back after a week interlude.
We have.
I can hear
How
some.
was it?
I can hear some echo coming from your end. I think.
Oh, sorry. What's that
I think
like?
it's picking up your. I can still hear myself.
Hang on.
I think it's only when I talk at the same time you're talking.
Right. This has never been an issue before. 2 seconds. Boost. Settings.
Anyway, while you're doing that.
Yeah, while you're doing that, so you can tell them all about why we had a week's interlude.
Yeah, well, very briefly, I went and did the 3 tallest mountains in the UK, and lived to regret it. That's pretty much the tall and short of it. Everything hurts. I did some soft tissue damage to my left knee, and I'm slowly recovering. But I seem to have gotten a cold because my body's so just completely destroyed from the exertion of it all. So I'm feeling like absolute ass at the moment, which has been further compounded by the new Dataslate, the new balanced Dataslate that came out by Games Workshop. I think it was on Thursday, wasn't it? And it's some good news for some people, some bad news for others, and some very bad news for some other people.
Yeah, bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah. What have you been doing last week anyway?
I have been building some scenery for you. Well, for the channel. I have been. What else have I been doing? Painting some Blood Angels. This was even before Thursday. Yes, Vanguard vets indeed. This was before even Thursday. So now I'm debating whether to start pulling off arms with storm shields attached and putting something else on.
I mean, Van vets are still pretty damn good as they are with storm shields and claws. So, I mean, they're still just as good as they were before.
They are. I just kind of feel now maybe you don't need every single one to have a storm shield. You might get away with, say, a squad of 8 dropping and going 50-50.
Yeah. Similar to the old Wolverines.
Sanguine Guard, on the other hand, big winners.
Oh my god, yeah.
Very big winners. Seeing as how they will start well. In fact, anything with a 2+, so even Terminators as well. And that's Terminators across the board. Again, though, and I suppose we'll get into it. Am I sounding a bit better, by the way?
Yeah, you seem fine.
Cool. Getting into it, obviously, Space Marines wise, Sisters of Battle wise, the improve on the whole armor situation. I think, like I said, there's some big winners and losers, and the only fear is it just going to make the same Space Marine armies back in the day that we're in the meta, just back in the meta as opposed to changing things up?
Let's mention the rule. So it's called Armor of Contempt, and every unit that's got the Adeptus Astartes, Sanctic Astartes, so Grey Knights, Heretic Astartes, and Adeptus Sororitas keyword, whenever they're allocated an attack, you reduce the AP by 1. It does not apply to any models with a Storm Shield, Relic Shield, or Combat Shield, or a Relic that replaces any of those shields. Models with a Sacrosanct Shield or a Force Shielding ability, so Celestian, Sacrosancts, and Nemesis Dreadknights. And models under the effect of any other rule that worsen the AP. So those don't apply. So if you've got, say... there's a couple of factions that have abilities that reduce the incoming AP by 1 or whatever. It doesn't affect those guys. So if you're already getting that ability from somewhere, for example, from a Storm Shield, like Custodies get +1 to their armor save from Storm Shields, they don't benefit from it. Custodians don't benefit from it at all anyway because they haven't got the keyword.
No, I know, bless them. They're one of the losers.
But this doesn't just affect infantry or troops or anything. This
affects vehicles.
So there's a lot of scary vehicles for both loyalist and heretic vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my bonds, obviously, Plague Burst crawlers are going to be a thing again.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
I suppose.
I have a potential solution to the echo problem. Are you wearing headphones?
No, I don't have any
Ah, never mind. It's all right.
because of the bloody phone. Sorry.
It's all right. We'll sort it out next
I've
time.
got the noise cancellation on. I don't understand. It's on the normal settings it always is.
Yeah, I don't know. Not a clue. Anyway,
Just
yeah. So the model that scares me the most with this rule is Scarab Occult Terminators, because
yes.
they're already 2 up, 5 up, I believe. They have All Is Dust, which already, let me get the specific. So each time an attack with a damage characteristic of 1, add 1 to your armor save. So you have a base 2 up save. If you're shot with a weapon with only 1 damage, you have a 1 up save. Your Heretic Astartes, so you automatically remove 1 AP anyway. So you have essentially still a 1 up save, and you're ignoring the first AP. These guys are just.
And if you're in light cover,
yeah, you get a 0 up save. So unless you've got AP 3, 4,
yeah, at that point,
they don't
in
give a
light
shit.
cover, no.
You can basically shoot them with a melter, and they'll go, haha.
Yeah.
So Scarab Occult Terminators are uniquely incredibly buffed by this.
When we talk about the 0 up saves, because I've seen a lot on Facebook and on Twitter and various places, people saying there's no such thing as a 0 up save. No, there's not. But these are the modifiers which effectively make it a 0 up
You're
save.
still
like
saving
you say,
on
when
2s, but you're ignoring at least 2 AP, basically.
Yeah.
Before it starts to modify it beyond a 2 up save.
Yeah.
Other than Scarab Occult Terminators, it's just a straight win for basically the entire Codex Space Marines, and obviously Grey Knights, Sisters of Battle. Even it affects Sisters of Battle, Adeptus Sororitas keywords, so even Repentia, who don't have power armor, get the benefit of this.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is odd.
I think, off the top of my head, speaking of Heretics, Death Guard.
Yeah. Blightlord Terminators. Oof.
Blightlord Terminators, yeah. The fact that they recently got objects secured as well, didn't they?
Blightlord Terminators and Death Shroud Terminators for Death Guard got objectives secured. They obviously have native -1 damage. And obviously now they ignore the first AP. So Blightlord's big winners from this balanced data slate.
Yeah. Nurgle in general. I think Nurgling's getting into the.
Don't know what went on there. No, my broadband just disconnected from the internet. Anyway, you were mid diatribe, so please continue.
Sorry, well, so like I said, I don't know what the Blood Angels obviously big winners, like I say, Sanguine Guard. I think you heard us say that things like Leviathans and Contemptors.
Oh yeah, that was where I left you off.
That was where you left us. So Leviathans and Contemptor Dreads, big wins for them. I think, like I say, Iron Hands, big win for them. Salamanders, not so much.
Salamanders got buffs in other ways, didn't they?
Yeah. Even if you think about it, and this is for memes though, but if you're an Imperial Fists player, you're going to love this, because you want to be standing in terrain or on the back line chucking out bolter shells, but with the Imperial Fists, I suppose they are going to have stronger bolters, aren't they?
Until Imperial Fists get their second chapter tactic changed entirely, they will always be a dead...
Oh, a dead meme.
A dead meme. Like,
I think what's going to be...
GW could fix Imperial Fists instantaneously at any stage if they pleased, by just changing that they wound buildings better to just anything else.
Yeah. Give them something like the GSC with the under destroying like a piece of your opponent's terrain in the backfield.
Yeah, exactly.
Masters, that would be nice.
Or, they get to bring an extra piece of... I don't fucking know. Just anything that's not wounding buildings, for fuck's sake.
Poor bastards. Anyway, yeah. So I think the only thing that's going to be a little bit painful is if your meta is Astartes versus Astartes or Astartes versus Sisters.
You're just not going to be wounding each other.
It's going to be playing Necrons v Necrons, isn't it?
This entire item of balance is as a result of the meta is too lethal.
Yeah, there's
So
too much
instead of
AP in the
fixing
game.
anything, they're just like, oh, we'll blanket fix these entire factions without actually fixing the internal balance of the books. It's just a bit weird.
It's slapping a plaster on a bullet wound, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it will shake up the meta a little bit. Grey Knights are probably very happy about this, but
Yes.
and Thousand Sons who were already doing okay, but
Yeah.
poor fucking Chaos Demons who haven't had a change in, I don't know, they've never had a change.
Since Pussy was a kitten. Since Pussy was a
The
kitten.
poor bastards. I don't think Games Workshop even realizes they're a faction. So I don't know what's going on with them. Anyway, that's probably the biggest change. Next up is indirect fire weapons. We knew this was coming because indirect fire is the big bad boy at the moment. It's going on the naughty step. If you can't draw line of sight to your target, you're -1 to hit, and the target also gets +1 to their armor saving throws. Now this stacks with Armor of Contempt. So if you shoot a basilisk at a space marine in cover, you're hitting on 5s.
No, because the Imperial Guard ignore this.
Oh yeah, sorry. Let's slay a Thunderfire cannon or a Squig Buggy.
Yeah, right.
You're hitting on 6s because Squig Buggies.
Yeah.
And the Space Marines are saving on a 2-up.
Yeah.
So suddenly, indirect fire weapons, unless you're Imperial Guard, they're just dead, completely dead. I don't see a purpose for indirect fire weapons anymore unless you're IG. Like, why would you bring indirect fire? The whole purpose is for it not to be able to be shot. And when it can shoot, it doesn't shoot very well if it can't draw line of sight. And when it can draw line of sight, it can be shot at. So, I don't know. I expected a nerf, but I did not expect add 1 to the armor save. That was something a bit wacky.
Yeah, it's gone from one extreme to the other. I mean, I'll certainly be ripping. That reminds us, actually, my GSC, they're hitting on 5s now, and I appreciate the heavy mortars are on a fast attack option. However, I just think now the missile launcher becomes the thing.
What are the alternative loadouts on the Achilles Ridge Runners?
It's mining laser, 1 shot.
Oh yeah.
Or the 3 shots with the missile launcher, but the missile launcher is a bit stronger because it's damage 3.
Yeah.
There's no like frag or crack option. It's just flat 3 damage. I think off the top of my head, I want to say strength 6, 7, or 7 AP -2. So I think Ridge Runners are just going to all have missile launchers from here on in.
Yeah, 6 -3/3, so it's pretty good at killing Terminators.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough.
The Alderi artillery piece took a big nerf, didn't it? Because that was broken to start with. I think there was probably a copy paste error the first time round because it was like 5 shots.
I don't know.
It was. I'm sure it was 5 shots. So I know that took a big nerf. Like you say, just in general, unless you're IG.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I can understand why they've give IG the exception. A, because
their ballistic skill's shit, and B,
to start,
their win rate is currently 24%.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're eating shit at the moment, but they've got changes. But we'll go on to their changes after this next one. Bodyguard. This got changed in a way I did not expect either. It literally doesn't do anything like what it did before. All it does is make the unit provide lookout sir, even if it's got less than 3 models.
Yeah. Which, honestly, I prefer this interpretation that they're impossible to stick out in front and becomes impossible to shoot because you've got 2 other models
I
hiding
thought
behind line of sight
I thought
blocking.
they would just change it to be the same as Saviour Protocols. On a 2-up, the bodyguard takes the wound instead.
Mm.
For every wound, the bodyguard takes a mortal wound.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how
Yeah.
Kell works, isn't it? Called Sergeant Kell when he's next to Castellan Creed.
Yeah.
On a 2-up, he takes the wound is nullified and he takes a mortal wound. I thought that's what they do, genuinely, but no, this is very simplistic. I think this basically means that the bodyguard rule is probably not going to get used that much, if at all. I think units that are already good and happen to have it is a bonus. But
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to be specifically picking bodyguards anymore.
No. I think like I say, the main losers in that will be the Tau battle suits, the Sisters of Battle, and Tau battle suits, Sisters of Battle. I'm trying to think, there was somebody else. I suppose if you'd still had that old bodyguard rule, the NIDs would be even more filthy.
Oh god, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And we already know. Well, it's out now, so we already know what the NIDs are capable of.
And they're broken.
So I think,
shit.
had Hive Guard been a thing with that, do you know what I mean? If they were just sitting behind and you've got like your big bad beastie at the back spraying down death, that's yeah. So I do actually like this. I think it kind of makes sense. Like say you get lookout circles before, you didn't get it if the unit went down.
Yeah.
Was it 5 models or was it 3?
It's 3.
It was 3. So yeah, I think
it's
I
fine.
like this. I like that change. Yeah, I like that change.
Sororitas. They now get a miracle dice every turn, which is fine. I think that's totally fine.
Actually, pick up because they were having an abysmal win rate recently.
The thing that killed them was not being able to mix orders, and and they didn't really generate that many miracle dice unless they specifically built their army for it. So I'm totally okay with them getting extra miracle dice. I think it will help. And they changed the passive of the Valorous Heart because it was used to be reduce AP by 1, and which is now army wide. You now can't reroll wound rolls against them. Which is all right. I mean, they're T3 anyway, so most people are wounding them on 3s or 2s. So it's a small blessing, I suppose. I mean, it's just value added, isn't it? They're already getting their passive, and now they've got a second one, basically. So it's a win-win for them.
Yeah.
Astra Militarum, these absolute lads. So they don't take the hit for outline of sight shooting at all, which is good because they are the artillery faction. They now get, as long as your army is all one regiment, which means you can't mix in Tempestus with standard Militarum anymore if you want this benefit. But Tempestus Scions do get this benefit. I've checked. A lot of people have been reading. Some people said no, it doesn't work, but it does work because Tempestus is their regiment keyword.
Yeah.
So lots of people have been making filthy lists of 260 Tempestus Scions.
With like ridiculous amounts of plasma guns and melter guns.
As Lambden Lions, so they get +1 AP. So basically the rule is as long as everything's drawn from the same regiment, hit rolls of 6 auto wound. This now means that a squad of Imperial Guardsmen with las guns does more wounds to a knight with first rank fire, second rank fire than a melter gun.
Or a las cannon.
Yes. Which is pretty cool. I
suppose if there's 20 las cannons focus firing on 20 las guns, focus firing on
a single spot.
Same spot, yeah.
It's like one las cannon, yeah. This is a cool rule. I don't think it will make them like broken.
No,
but I think it makes rolling 160 dice actually feel worthwhile. Because before we've played tons of Imperial Guard games. They do maybe 1-2 wounds the entire game to something, and it just feels like a waste of time. But with this, it feels pretty good. And that wasn't the only change, was it?
Oh, it wasn't.
All infantry squads now cost 5 point more, so they've gone up from 50 to 55 and now from 55 to 60. However, all their upgrades are free, so every single squad going forward can be equipped with a Voxcaster, a plasma pistol on the sergeant, a power axe on the sergeant, a plasma gun or melter gun on one of your dudes, and a heavy weapons team for free.
Yes. Now, does that particular rule apply to the Scions as well?
Change
No,
the
because
points
this is the
cost
one
for an
I was
infantry
thinking
squad
about.
unit. No, it only applies to Cadian shock troops.
Infantry squad unit.
Unit size 10 models, unit cost 60 points. Yeah, it's only for Cadian shock troops, I'm afraid, not
Right.
Scions.
I was thinking there because that would have been really broken.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I personally won't be running heavy weapons teams in my troops because they're -1 to hit when they move, and most of the time you'll be moving them anyway to get on objectives. So I feel like it's a bit pointless bringing a ballistic skill 5 Las Callan along or whatever it is. I'm sure some people will try it.
I was going to say you were only hitting on 4s anyway.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, 1 in 3 dice auto wounded, and then if that Las Cannon is, I suppose it's going to be like what? So like I say, if you roll 3 dice, 1 in 3. Over the course of a game, if he survives all 5 turns, he should statistically at least put 1 shot into
Yeah.
And I mean, what it's damage D6.
Yeah.
See them? Yeah, I suppose.
I'm not sure. I
think that honestly,
own 3 heavy weapon squads, so I can try it.
Yeah, maybe the auto gun might be a thing.
Oh, the autocannon.
Yeah, just for taking out, like sticking an auto cannon in would be good for your light vehicles and possibly even like elite troops.
Yeah.
Because, and this is the thing that I do love, and one of the reasons. Well, not one of the reasons. One of the things that I do love is the fact that all squads now can split fire, and I know they've been able to do that like throughout the entire edition. But I remember back in the day where you couldn't.
Yeah.
It was just like weird things like long fangs on Space Wolves could split fire.
Yeah.
Because it just it never made sense why you couldn't. So, like I say, sticking an auto cannon in, then you've got to think now as well. Massed infantry, they're also benefiting from the fact that if a squad is within 6 of another squad,
yeah.
In fact, but even that now it doesn't matter because every squad's got a bloody Voxcaster.
Yeah, I mean, if you bring an officer that can do multiple orders, and the laurels, is it laurels of command or whatever, where they can shoot 2 orders to the same squad?
Yeah.
You could first rank fire, second rank fire, and also either give them reroll hit rolls of 1 or wound rolls of 1, which makes your heavy weapons team tiny bit more reliable, I guess.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If both squads have got Voxcasters, that order can just be issued anywhere over the board.
Yeah.
So now putting squads in chimeras and outflanking them can become a thing because they can come in on the chimera, sit on your backfield objective, your opponent blows up the chimera, the guardsmen spill out, and then you start issuing orders.
Yeah.
Honestly, massed infantry now is a thing, but again, in competition play, it's a horde army, so it's going to be one of those ones where, if people are comfortable doing that, then it's going to be great.
Voxcaster, 18 inches.
Yeah.
And it affects every unit within 6 of the target. Huh.
So, like I say, massed infantry is going to be a thing.
I'm so glad that they made Voxcasters a thing.
Free, yeah.
Because they were just a joke before, but now that they're free, it's like the Misericordias for Custodes. Making them free just adds just that little
bit of value.
That little bit of value on your army that feels both fluffy and useful in game. God, fuck me. 18-inch orders that affects everything in 6. That's sweet.
The only thing you're going to be paying for is the 5-point. I think it's only a 5-point or 10-point upgrade on the command squad itself, because they'll only be 5 models.
Yeah.
But do you mind doing that? I'd pay 5-10 points to be able to, like you say,
I don't think I'd bother
treble.
bringing a command squad, to be honest. I'd just bring 2 officers, one on the left side of the board, one on the right side, yelling orders at 90 Cadians.
Yeah, because they wouldn't be able to be targeted because you just sit them behind 3 ranks of bloody infantry.
Yep.
And now even if the unit goes down to 3 models, you still get the bodyguard rule?
Only if they've got the bodyguard rule.
Only if they've got the bodyguard rule.
Yeah.
They'll still get lookouts there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Astra Militarum. Obviously, all these changes affect the Tempestus Scions, so Tauroxes with the Gatling guns are suddenly very, very, very exciting. Just auto wounding on 6s as well.
Yep.
It's
It is a thing.
yeah.
I maybe feel if it was something that they kept in the new edition of the Codex. For the minute, I just want to see how it plays out, but at the same time, I think there maybe should be a cap on it.
I don't want it to exist in the new codex. It feels like we're throwing a random idea at the wall and seeing if it works temporarily to make the players less unhappy. I fully expect all of this to disappear except the 2-up save on the Lehman Russ. I think that's all. Yeah, I think that's all that'll stay with the new codex. I'd be very surprised if the 6-inch order stays, the auto winning on 6s stays, or the infantry squads just getting free shit. I don't think that'll stay. But who knows?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Adeptus Custodes. Sadly,
indeed,
these guys took it's funny. If you read the Goonhammer article, so you've got like 8 to 12 dudes who are all competitive players, and they were all like, wow, this is a bit much. Do you want to maybe calm down a bit? They got plastered, absolutely fucking beaten to death. I understand that they were sort of one of the top 3 armies, but they were not. They were still behind Tau, Nids, and Harlequins. But it feels like they definitely got hit. Not the hardest, because Harlequins got hit reasonably hard, but damn. The entire objective secured thing is gone. This I did not expect.
No.
So only troops have it, which is problematic, because now nobody, literally nobody, is going to bring any elites whatsoever. So Wardens, Alarus, your characters don't get OBSEC. No one's going to be bringing the Praetorian Plate Alarus Terminator Captain because he no longer has OBSEC. And me grabbing random points at the end of a game because I've been tabled with characters is no longer going to be possible. So basically, no one's going to be bringing much except for troops because we're forced to.
Yeah, it is sad. I mean, well done for being ahead of the curve, by the way.
Yes, yeah. I knew changes were coming. I fully, I expected chapter approved points to be reverted. I expected the Emperor's Chosen 4+++ to become a 5+++. Feel no pain. And I expected the Esteemed Amalgam and Martial Discretion to go up in the amount that they cost in CP. That's what I expected. Point changes, slight nerf to the Emperor's Chosen passives, and CP increases. That is literally what everybody was expecting, and it didn't happen.
No.
We lost OBSEC on everything except troops. We can now only use Esteemed Amalgam, which is the Emperor's Chosen specific stratagem, once per game. You can only use Emperor's Auspice, which is turn off rerolls, once per game. And you can only use Martial Discretion once per game. The rules writers are fucking idiots. And they wrote you can only use this stratagem once without saying once per game, turn, battle round. But everyone is assuming that's what they mean. So basically, we're going to have to pick our one moment to use Emperor's Auspice.
Yeah.
because from then on we're never going to be able to use it again. So it's taken away our defensive tools. I agree that Esteemed Amalgam was too good, but just make it cost more.
Yeah.
And and the transhuman now only works on infantry, which is totally fine. I'm fine with that. Jet bikes were ridiculous. People could change their shield host trait every single turn. People could turn off rerolls. People could give them a 4-up transhuman. People would give them -1 strength if they were in Shadowkeepers. They were just impossible to kill, and they were roaming just everything destroyers. So
I mean, like you say, they should have just turned up the cost, made it something like 3 CP.
Yeah.
So realistically, most people would only be doing it once, maybe twice.
Yeah, 100%. The issue
3 times a game.
One of the issues Custodians have is they generate so much CP. They start off with a lot because of Trajan. He refunds like on a 5-up, so Custodians could spend CP on so many stratagems, and it made them impossible to shift. And they could have just fixed that by making the stratagems cost more. Now we're going to still have shitloads of CP. Not really sure what we're going to spend it on, but we're going to be less tanky. I mean, shit, fucking Blightlord Terminators, Thousand Sun Scarab Occult Terminators, even Deathwing Terminators are more tanky than Custodians now, which is bizarre. So we'll see how they fare. I don't think they're in S tier anymore. Certainly not. I think this will knock them back down to the middle of the pack again. But the only viable armies for Custodians is going to be, well, what I'm playing, basically. Back in the 8th edition, it was just mass troops hiding in buildings, and that's pretty much what I play. So it's sort of fine by me. The only downside is my Wardens no longer have RobSec, and they no longer have the Bodyguard rule. So I've already submitted my list for the tournament at the end of April, so I'm still running the Wardens. But after that tournament, I'll probably take them out and just bring more troops.
Would you bring in the jump packs again?
No, because they're not troops, and they don't have OBSEC. And Custodians desperately need OBSEC, otherwise they can't hold points. So I'll probably take the Wardens out and just bring more Sagittarium. And that's it. So yeah, Custodians got hit pretty hard. I agree that they should have gotten hit in a multitude of ways. I would have also liked to see some of the other shield hosts brought up because they're quite terrible. But
and ironically, you're going to have the weakest Land Raiders.
yeah, that's true.
You won't even get the fucking -1 on your vehicles.
I mean, we already have the shittest Land Raider in existence. Now it's even worse. Yeah, dear God. Adeptus Mechanicus. I don't know how many of these are actual changes.
Well, go through and I'll see if I can remember.
So I know losing Core was in the previous Dataslate. The Lucius Solar Blessing Dogma was +1 to the armor save. The Clandestine Infiltration for your Rust Stalkers or Infiltrators or whatever they're called, you can only use that stratagem once per game. I think that's new.
Yeah.
And the Acquisition at any cost stratagem is also once per game. I'm pretty sure that's new.
Yeah.
Galvanic Volify, yeah, that was in the previous one. And in Rich Rounds, yeah. So the only two changes are the Infiltrator stratagem is now once per game, and the Acquisition at any cost stratagem is now once per game. I don't think AdMech needed nerfing.
No.
The only reason this has happened, is because Games Workshop were present when Siegler won the Warhammer tournament, the actual Games Workshop tournament with AdMech, and he brought a fuck ton of Rust Stalkers and Infiltrators.
Right.
And he was like the only person that came in the top 8 with AdMech. So obviously GW saw that and they were like, this is not allowed. They're clearly OP, but they're not. So AdMech catching nerfs for not a lot of reason.
All right.
Space Marines, because the Salamanders always ignored the first pip of AP, they now also have the same chapter tactic as the Valorous Heart, so it's now you can't reroll wound rolls against them, which is fine. It's just more value added.
Yeah.
And then we're getting on to the Death Guard. which is Martin Loring in chat has said Death Guard benefit from the new stuff. They certainly do. Obviously the Plague Burst Crawler is less effective than it was before, but to be fair, it's so tanky you kind of don't mind getting it in line of sight.
I was going to say you're not good. All the difference is it just means you're not going to be hiding them.
Yeah.
But like I say, you don't care if you're no longer hiding them.
And if you're running entropy cannons, you're going to be drawing line of sight anyway. So whatever. Yeah, Blightlord Terminator's got objectives secured, and so did Death Guard, which is pretty fucking spicy. Means people who run big bricks of 10, which we do, they're now just better. And obviously the armor of contempt, they're now tankier than ever. They caught a bunch of nerfs previously, which were completely unjustified in Chapter Approved 2022. Hopefully, this brings them back to some semblance of like being mid-range again. Obviously, their Plague Marines are suddenly going to be a bit more tanky.
Yeah.
So people might run Plague Marines instead of Poxwalkers.
Yeah, big blobs of Poxwalkers. You might just run maybe it's one now.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Because it kind of, I mean, I get the whole, for every, you need a unit of either Death Guard or Marines or Terminators for every, like, Poxwalker unit. That was just to stop people, like, rolling filth. But still, it kind of, it just felt like there were attacks, especially the Death Guard Marines, where now Death Guard Marines will come into their own, and you get like a crazy amount of options for like the special weapons on them as well, don't you?
Yeah, everybody brings flails and shit.
Yeah, so that's going to be a thing because, and especially again if Marine on Marine action is your meta, or Chaos Marines on Chaos Marines is your action, bolters you're going to want to take as fewer bolters as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I feel sorry for the humble bolter. Not just the Primaris bolter, but I mean the OG bolter.
Yeah.
Like combi
this is
shit. 401.
This was my only thing about the Lasguns auto, and it's like Lasguns are almost, if probably are better than bolters now, which is like. And I think intercessor squads are going to be a thing of the past.
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna run intercessors now, everyone's just going to start running the assault variant, which is like assault 3.
Oh yes.
AP0.
Yeah.
Like there is no point taking standard auto bolt rifles, or even I suppose the stalkers. The stalkers have come down. I think the sensible option is, if you are going to run squads of intercessors, then run
many shots is the way to go.
Many shots is the way to go.
Games Workshop forgot Necrons exist, and they forgot Orcs exist. They gave them nothing. Orcs still limited to 1 per.
I kind of feel as if because they've nerfed the artillery thing, they should have maybe pulled the squig buggy rule.
I think they should just pull all of the Orc rules, because Orcs don't matter anymore. No one cares. No one's even running. Everyone's running Speed Freak, Army Renown, or Goths. No one cares about squig buggies. And with the artillery nerf, they're even worse. Like, they're horrendous with the artillery nerf. Because they're hitting on 6s. So yeah, I don't really see the point in that rule still existing. I thought they might get rid of it with the artillery nerf, but fuck knows. Poor fucking Necrons, like, just give them something. Armor of Contempt just hurts them, because all their guns are AP 1 or 2. So it just doesn't matter. It's an odd one. Harlequins, thank God. Thank Christ. The Voidweavers basically doubled in points to 130 points a mod. The thing I found most strange is that they didn't max out the number of units you could take, the same as Orcs. I thought that was what they would do, as well as a points increase, but nope, they've made it so you can still bring 9, but it's going to cost you over 1,000 points to bring 9, so no one's going to do that. So hopefully that means people will only bring a squad of 3, and that's fine. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
The Mirror Architect, which was that really fucking frustrating you count as being 6 inches away extra.
Yes.
It now is core and 1 unit within 9, not every unit within 9.
Unit within 9. Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah, it is.
Troops got core as well, didn't they? Troops actually got core.
No. Unless there's an FAQ.
I think there must have been an FAQ just dropped because I know troops now get core.
Okay.
I didn't realise that wasn't in the actual update. Sorry.
Yeah, that's not in this one. Must be in FAQ. And the favour of Sigorich, is now only a melee hit roll, melee wound roll, or saving throw, as opposed to any hit roll or wound roll, which is fine. That means that the sniper of unbelievable efficiency is no longer going to be running favour of Kegarak or whatever, Sigorich, whatever it is. Interestingly, haven't changed the transhuman to hit or the -1 to wound things. So I think Harlequin's got off
still up there. Yeah, they got off lightly.
Reasonably okay. It's a hit, but
it's a little slap.
They're still going to be just as frustrating to play against. Tau.
Yeah.
They lost their AP from Montcar completely, so they don't get extra AP when they're within the Montcar range. They now just get to reroll wind rolls of 1 when they're in Montcar range, which is still fine. It's 3 turns of rerolling wind rolls of 1 army wide within 18, 12, 9 or whatever. So it's a nerf, but they needed it. It was valid. The Farsight Enclave's Tenet is now, each time a model with this Tenet makes a range attack that targets a unit within 9, is treated as having a marker light token, which is, whatever. It's just a change to their Tenet. Broadside's lost core, which
which is I'm trying to work out either Broadside's losing core or the -1 to hit and thingy because of artillery and line of sight blocking and that. Like, they are the big two. That's the 1-2 combo for Tau, like, lights out.
Yeah, because Tau take a lot of like what they called frag storm something, the weird frag out line of sight shooting, and obviously the SMS and stuff like that. So I feel like Broadsides might be dead. Not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Losing core,
I think maybe
I think people are just going to bring shitloads of crisis teams and that's going to be it. It's now just going to be similar to what Andy plays, but without the broadsides, basically. Yeah, it's an odd one. The Tau Empire changes, the Montcarb change was great. But yeah, I don't know. It's a nerf.
It is enough, and it seems like a fair, like I say, it just feels like a 1-2 lights out combo. I think a lot of Tau, I mean, neither of us play Tau, but I do still sympathise, and I think it's going to be a case of a lot of Tau players are going to have to either buy more models or completely reevaluate their lists and start pulling things off shelves that they never considered before.
Yeah.
Which, again, I suppose that's all point of shaking up the meta, but at the same time, like I say, it'd be interesting. I think they've obviously gone from S tier. It'll be interesting to see whether they're somewhere between B and C now. Yeah. I would probably say.
I still think Tau and Harlequins are in A tier.
Yeah.
I think Custodes drop down to low A tier, maybe upper B tier, probably mid-range, to be honest. The only other change to Tau was that their repulsor impact field and photon grenade strats now aren't cumulative with any other modifiers to charge rolls, so you can't double whammy a unit with modifiers to their charge rolls, which is nice. It can be very painful if you're going across dense cover and then someone photon grenades your unit. because then you ain't making that charge, pretty much. It hasn't got rid of it completely. It's still there. It's still a tool. It's just not quite as shocking in certain circumstances as it was before.
Oh, definitely. I think it kind of feels like this whole FAQ has made some armies a lot easier to play and some armies a lot harder to play. So it's like almost like it's affecting the skill level.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, Custodes just became 20 times more difficult to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's counterintuitive because you don't want the games to be harder to play. Because if they're harder to play, they become less fun.
Yeah, I think some armies are just going to have a higher skill ceiling now, and other armies are going to be a bit more face roll.
Yeah.
Basically, anything with Armor of Contempt is just going to make killing 2-wound Marines all that more painful. And 3-wound Terminators. I'm playing Grey Knights next week, by the way, against your GSC. Okay. I'm gonna bring the Grey Knights with their new rules from Armor of Contempt. It's funny. So as soon as I saw this balanced Dataslate, the first thing I did was order Dread Knight,
Strike squad.
2 squads of strikes, no, 2 squads of interceptor strikes, and 2 squads of Terminators.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, it's time. It's time for the Terminators, I think. It's time to test out A, Terminator troops, and B, the Terminator elites to see just how tanky they are now that AP is less of an issue.
Which is nice as well. So there you are, David. There's your answer. Because one of the lads in our local meta was asking about Grey Knights. And I said, well, it's still going to be... The baby carriers, the Dread Knights, are still going to be a thing.
I don't think so. I don't think people will run that many Dread Knights. I think you'll still get the Grandmaster with all of his upgrades: Unyielding Anvil, First of the Fray, Sigil of Exodus, or the Servant of the Throne, all that shit. Absolutely, because he's just disgustingly good. But they have a 2-up, 4-up, correct?
Yes.
But they're only T6, whereas the Terminators have a 2-up, 5-up, and there's quite a lot of them, and they've got OBSEC.
Yeah.
And they can cast powers, and it doesn't feel bad. Especially when it comes to purifying ritual, you don't really want to be purifying with a Dread Knight.
No, you definitely don't.
So I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think it's just giving you the options now, isn't
it?
Like you said, it makes you want to run. I mean, when we're talking Terminators, just to clarify, we're talking really Paladin squads, aren't we?
Yeah, both Paladins and so Paladins are the elites, and then there's the Brotherhood
Terminators.
The troops. I might run a couple of the troop Terminators, maybe. I'm not sure.
Well, Paladins basically get +1 weapon skill, +1 wound. Yes. So the 3-wound Terminators. Yeah. And your bog standard Terminators are 2 wounds, weapon skill, 3.
Yeah.
And everything else is the same.
But the elite Terminators also get ethereal castigation power.
Yes.
So they have a psychic power that does work. Yeah, I think there's a couple of armies now where people are going to have to figure things out.
I think, honestly, when I'm thinking about Grey Knights, I think people might start going down, rather than running battalions, I think they might run 2
patrols,
just so you can start maxing out, because the Paladins are the elites, they're not troops, aren't they? Yeah, so you'll probably want to run 2 patrols to max out the Paladins on the elite,
and the
like the max out the elites. Yeah.
But you still need OBSEC. You do still need OBSEC.
You do still need OBSEC. That is a fair point.
The other thing that I see changing with Grey Knight list is everybody used to run halberds. I personally ran swords because I favoured the AP, but I think everyone ran halberds because 2 AP was fine with the extra strength, but now I'm feeling swords are a little bit more valuable against Armor of Contempt. Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah. No, I'm in total agreement. I think where before you might have run 5. Say you got a squad of 5 Terminators, you might have run 3 halberds and a couple of
Well,
power
people
swords.
used to run one squad full of swords, one squad full of halberds for the interceptors.
Yeah.
And have individual squads dedicated to certain stuff.
Mhm.
I think possibly now everyone's going to favour swords everywhere.
Yeah.
With the
And
warning
then you can have
staves
a
on the
couple.
Terminators for the strat. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something I'm going to have to figure out for next week.
I think again, and I mean, with the Nemesis Dread Knights, you might want to rethink as well. I mean, not necessarily going up against the GSC. The Gatling cannons are going to be like amazing against GSC, but again, the whole armor of contempt thing. I think you might want to start. People are going to swap out Gatling cannons for side cannons or flamers.
Well, people run the Gatling and the side cannon at the same time.
Now I think you might be better off running the Gatling and the Flamer because the Gatling cannon's not. It's like unlike a Punisher. So again, sorry to like move back to go forwards, but like Punisher cannons on Imperial Guard are now a thing because the auto wound in 6s.
Yeah.
It's volume of shots and then the auto wound 6s.
The only issue is
The,
the army doesn't have any anti-tank, which is where the side cannons come in, especially with
yeah,
the psychic power that gives them +1 damage.
well that's what I'm saying. So the Gatling the Gatling silencers. What it's how many shots? Is it 12 shots?
No, I think it's less than that. 1 second.
I think
Oh, it's
Gatling
heavy 12.
silencers.
Yeah, heavy 12.
Yeah, it's 12 shots.
But it's AP -1.
Strength. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, 8B -1.
So the AP is
And
going to
so
not
that's what
know
I'm saying.
fuck all.
Yeah, like I say, they'll still decimate against GSC, against Guard, against Eldar. But because of obviously the whole armor and contempt thing, that's what I'm saying. And what's the flamer? Because the flamer's not to be sniffed
It's
at. I
only
think
6 -1/1. And it's only
is
12-inch
it?
range as well. So I don't think you're any better with the flamer at all.
Fair.
I don't know. It's going to be a learning curve, I think.
6 -1/1. Yeah. 12. Yeah, I suppose. Maybe because you can't run 2 side cannons, you've got to have one of each. Maybe people just drop the Gatling silencer off. How much is it as an upgrade?
20 points. I think I would still run a silencer and a side cannon on my Dread Knights with swords.
Would you?
Yeah.
If you run a 4, 20, 40, 60, 80. Say I'm thinking if you're running 4 or 5 of them, like say your list currently has 4 or 5 of them, do you drop them off each one and then just have yourself another squad of either stock standard Terminators or?
I don't know. I think you do need the shooting because Grey Knights just don't have the shooting. And
Or would you rather upgrade your squads with Thunderhammers?
Nah,
And drop the
Thunderhammers
20
at -1 to hit are just.
but Thunderhammers and Paladins are still hitting on
yes. Anything
a
else?
3.
No.
So you basically turn your Paladin squads into your anti-armor.
Yeah, but they got to get there.
Just teleport them up aboard.
Yeah, still got to make the charge. It's tricky. We'll find out how it affects.
I was going to say, yeah. What's nice though, it's making you think, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I think that's nice about Grey Knights. Grey Knights haven't really. There's benefit from the whole armor to content thing, and like I say, I think Grey Knights are a winner overall.
Yeah, definitely. Right, that's all she wrote. You can catch us next week on Sunday at 7 PM for our next podcast. Probably complaining about Tyranids because they're completely broken. And you can catch our live stream Warhammer 9th Edition Battle Report next Wednesday at 7 PM. We'll be playing Grey Knights and GSC, and I think we're playing GSC for another couple of weeks after that as well. And that's it. Thank you everyone for listening in, and we'll catch you guys